If you are ready to start paying attention to what you're eating in order to excel with your fitness goals and maybe fat loss, this video is for you. I'm going to start with the bare bones, how you should go about starting to log your meals, what apps to use, and things that I watch with my people who are nutrition clients that are just starting. So there's a lot of information out there, and there really are just a few basics that you really need to master before you get super into it. Here's where I would start you. Step one is start logging your meals in MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal also syncs with the Consistency Club app, so you are able to add it to your dashboard and it'll show up. It'll show up how many calories you've eaten for the day, what your protein, your carbs, and your fats are from MyFitnessPal. Start logging the things that you're eating currently and don't make any changes first because it's helpful to see exactly how many calories you're starting with where you're not losing fat. So we can take it smaller to help you lose fat. But I think it's really important to get a starting point. So just log the normal things that you eat and try to start measuring them in some way. Use a food scale whenever you can. However, if you don't have a food scale, you can use like cups, teaspoons, tablespoons, things like that. If you are going to use cups and teaspoons and not a scale, I highly recommend that you overestimate on the foods that you eat. Like put more calories in than you think, because most foods are pretty calorically dense, and most people really underestimate when they're doing things like eyeballing or using cups and teaspoons and things like that. If you go out to eat, you can log the item, get as close as you can. You're in the beginning, you're just going to kind of get a baseline. But you do want to add extra calories for oils. So if you're at a restaurant, I would add like 50 to 100 calories for oils or butter. Most restaurants are going to use something like vegetable oil or canola oil. I usually log it as canola oil. Most restaurants are going to put butter on your veggies unless you ask them not to. So you want to make sure that you are logging that too, because that can make a big difference in what your everyday intake is. The next thing is really important, and that is paying attention to your protein and fiber. When I have a nutrition client, I always start them around 90 grams of protein because it's doable. It doesn't mean that you're going to stay there forever, but it's a good starting point for people that are not usually getting as much protein. Because if you add too much protein too fast and there's not enough vegetables, you're going to get constipated and you might have bad gas if you're using things like protein shakes and bars. So protein, you want to be anywhere from 90 to 100 grams to begin with in the beginning. That's a great starting point. You will notice that your hunger goes down a little bit as you increase the protein, and it's a really helpful macro for fat loss. The second thing to watch is your fiber. And basically, that's there to make sure that you get your plants in so you don't get constipated from adding the protein. And fiber is just essential for keeping you full, for helping digestion. There's so many different pluses to having fiber. And the biggest one is that fiber is in a lot of vegetables, and you do need vegetables for your micronutrients. So watching your fiber, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, things like that, you want to get about 20 to 25 grams of fiber a day. Now, if you're used to eating meals at restaurants, your fiber is way lower than 20 to 25 grams right now. So inch into that, like it's a goal to get to 20 to 25. You don't have to increase it super fast because, again, some of these things can wreck your digestive system if you jump in too hard. Number four tip, I think it's four, is to log every day and log everything that you eat in the beginning so you can really see what your starting point is. Don't log just Monday through Friday. Been there, done that. and skip the weekend because a lot of the times you'll give yourself permission to go wild on the weekend and then you actually won't make any progress. And we're still not seeing what your average calories are. So make sure you log every day, even if it's loose. One thing that I did when I first started logging, I logged the week, and then the weekend I didn't always log, but I would put that I had 2,500 calories. You can add in the food area, you can search calories, and I just added 2,500 calories on each weekend day that I was not motivated to log. That way, I mean, logging 2,500 calories is almost less motivating than logging what I actually ate. So that way it keeps you accountable. Like it keeps you on plan and you're easily probably eating 2,500 on a weekend if you're going out to eat, if you're having drinks, if you're having desserts. That stuff can add up really fast. And we want to be able to see that. I really like on MyFitnessPal using the weekly averages. So even if I don't hit my exact calories each day, I am constantly looking at the 7 day average. That way, I know whether I'm still on point or not, because sometimes your body is going to be more hungry, especially around your cycle, especially if you've been lifting heavy, doing extra cardio. So, and then some days you might not get as much activity and you're not going to be as hungry on those days or the day after. So, using the weekly balance is really helpful. And that way you don't feel like you have to be perfect either. Like you can always make it up or, the next day. So weekly averages is really a great tip that I use. One of the other things that I do not do is I never eat my calories back. I set my calories high enough, and I'll probably do a separate video on this. I set my calories high enough that I'm able to hit them and I don't need to factor my exercise in. Basically, it's a mindset. Like if I work out this hard, I get to eat. And I don't like how that feels to me. MyFitnessPal is definitely going to set your calories really low, and you probably will be able to add like 300 to 500 extra on to MyFitnessPal's recommendation. Mine's about 300. So you don't want to eat your calories back. What you want to do is just set your whole week high enough that you don't feel like you're super deprived, especially in the beginning, and that you don't have to earn your food. Um, and then from there, you just rinse and repeat. Try to use the food scale as much as you can. Make sure you're overestimating. Watch your protein and fiber. Log every day if you can, and don't eat your calories back. Those are the biggest tips that I use with my starting clients when it comes to nutrition and starting to make changes. Now, once we get a baseline of what you're currently eating, it's much easier to say, all right, well, we're going to drop that a little bit because you do have to be, in order to lose fat. So if you're going to lose 1 pound a week, you need to be in a caloric deficit throughout the week of 3,500 calories. So that's about 500 calories a day deficit. Now, that's why we're looking at the weekly averages, so we can factor that in. It doesn't have to be perfect every day, but and then half a pound, of course, is half of that. So 250 deficit each day. You can create a deficit with either food or exercise or both. A lot of people, if they try to do both at the same time, they get burnt out fast, but it can be done. And that's just going to speed up your results, really, as long as you're taking those rest days when you feel like you need them. Like you don't want to push through and like, rah, 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 because eventually you will burn out and then you won't want to log anything or do your exercise. So those are my top tips. I hope this is helpful. I want to know what questions you have. Please put them in the comments below and let me know. And I hope to do another video on creating your own calorie and macro plan. Let me know if this is helpful. I'll see you soon.